Carrie.
Oh.
And I'm so fond of rainbows. That was my big impression of Hawaii.
Mhm.
In the morning, uh, the rainbow would go right into the ocean. We
Mm.
could see it from Barb's apartment. And then in the evening, it would go into the sugarcane fields.
Mm.
Oh.
And boy, every time I was there, I'd look for that rainbow. And
Elvira, let me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. You'd
no,
look for
I
the.
was going to say I think that's why I am so fond of rainbows.
Mhm.
And that sun catcher that Carrie gave me, if the sun hits it just right, they're ittle bitty rainbows on the carpet.
Mm.
Oh.
And one time, this is really cute. I'm glad no one was here to watch me, but I was looking. I knew the sun was hitting it right. I was looking all over on the floor for just a small rainbow.
Oh.
Finally, look, here it was on my lap.
Oh.
And I was looking on the floor, thinking that, but I have thoroughly enjoyed that.
Mhm. Oh.
Let me ask you this. Imagine. I mean, think about maybe 10 years down the road, and Hannah, she'll be 10 years old, a little over 10 years. What kind of advice would you give her? Just growing up, dealing with stuff, or just general advice. If there is one thing or a few things you would say to Hannah.
Well, I used to tell when I was teaching homebound, it was during the time that rheumatic fever would keep children down for months
Mhm.
and couldn't get back. My goal was to keep them up with their classwork so that when they were ready, they could go back to school and would be right with their class
Mm-hmm.
and not be way behind. And I often told them when they, especially, 4, 5, sixth graders, I don't think I ever left them without telling them, please learn to enjoy reading and music. You'll never be lonesome. And that's exactly what I would tell Hannah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And it
good.
doesn't have to be grade level reading. Read to enjoy it. And
Right.
music.
Mhm. That's good.
And I really feel
Mm.
that that's something that has kept me going.
Mhm.
I have all those tapes. Since Grandpa was gone, I haven't been able to play Christmas tapes. I'm going to this year, though.
Good.
I really and truly will.
Mhm.
And I'll have memories of him not being at all well. Probably his last day of living.
Mhm.
Because he said, don't you have Christmas tapes I would like to hear?
Mm.
So we put Christmas music on. And up until now, I haven't been able to. And so what if I put them on and a few tears? What difference does
Yeah.
it make? They're happy memories.
Right.
When we had a piano, Jenny would enjoy this. Bonnie would start in August playing Christmas music, even if it had to be with one finger. She would start Christmas at home while she was a young lady growing up. She would start in August.
Mm.
Mhm.
In fact, our pastor, even at Grandpa's memorial service, started out his memory service of saying that Arden had asked for some Christmas music, and that I had reminded him, you aren't the one who starts Christmas now. It's Bonnie who starts in August. He mentioned that.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to play the tape. I'm going to, though. I want to hear it again
Yeah.
because I thought it was so beautiful.
Mhm.
It really, it helped.
Yes. That's good. Well, I agree about reading. I think reading is very important.
Oh, yeah, and have books around. I'll tell you what I had, and so many of those books are gone now. I always, in the good old days, when I could go into a store and buy a golden book
Mhm.
for a quarter.
Now, what's a
And
golden book?
It's a
Children's
Children's book.
books.
Mhm.
I have some down in the basement. You
Mhm.
just
Uh-huh.
and a lot of good things down there. And I remember when I think it was Bonnie who had a bad ear infection. Anyhow, she was down miserable. But I would read to her out of this one book, and I know I gave it to her. She doesn't remember it, but someday when she's looking through things that she has at home, she'll find the book.
Mhm.
It was a darling story. You could read one chapter and couldn't wait for the next.
Mhm.
And I think that's what's saving my life right now is enjoying music.
Mm-hmm.
Sue gave me a little record. What do we call those?
CD. A CD player.
A CD record, no.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely beautiful. And I go through some of the old records, CDs. In fact, I'm going to have you or Larry look at the one, it's Wayne King's. That was our music.
Right.
And it gets to a certain point and just runs and runs. I don't think I think something's happened to the
Mm-hmm.
CD.
Oh.
But the reason I liked it so much was that when I was a teenager, I was older than that, going with Arden already. My favorite song music was Josephine.
Oh.
If you don't know it, boy, it has good rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on Wayne King's recording. But I can play it until it starts going around and around.
Right.
It might have a little scratch in the CD. It
Pardon?
might have a scratch on the CD.
It must have.
Or sometimes
something.
you can clean it. You can wipe off the CD, but we'll check it out.
It isn't that important, but
Yeah.
because I can play it, and I get my song Josephine.
Uh-huh.
And you see, Arden and I, that was one thing, we both enjoyed music, and it would be our kind of music
Mhm.
at that time. Now it's old stuff, but
Did you guys ever go caroling?
beautiful.
Mhm.
Christmas is so full of memories for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know we went caroling, and then one particular Christmas, my mother had made a big pot of chili, and she said, you can bring them all over here. And in those days, heavens, you could have a big box of crackers, and Mom would always have cookies or something out. You would have chili, and that was over half the fun.
Wow.
Sometimes, if no one invited us, we'd just go back to church and have cocoa.
Uh-huh.
But we loved caroling.
Uh-huh.
In fact, your mom, bless her heart, she and some of the children in the neighborhood, they went Christmas caroling.
Really?
Probably about 4 or 5 of the children. Maybe more, I don't know. And I just loved it. I encouraged it for them to go caroling. And then 2 or 3 houses down from us was a Mr. Barr. He was the police officer, children's officer. And that particular day, they had had a big party for the children who were crossing guards for schools, and he organized that. Then each child got a big bag of fruit and candy. Well, this particular Christmas, when I encouraged that I didn't have to push. Bonnie was just so into Christmas caroling. They went to Mr. Barr's, and it happened to be a real early evening or late afternoon of the day that they had had this big party for the children who were crossing guards.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave each one, and they had a big bag full of goodies, and then came tearing home. Look what we got. Look what Mr. Barr gave us. They just loved him. He could be riding his motorcycle down the alley to park it in near their garage,
Uh-huh.
and you just knew it was Mr. Barr. You could hear all the kids in the neighborhood. Hi, Mr. Barr. Hi, Mr. Barr. So loved. If we only could give that to our
Right.
children today.
Now, Elvira, we just passed the anniversary of the of John F. Kennedy when he was shot in Dallas. Do you remember where you were when that happened? John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy.
I surely remember that day. Oh, our radio was over. Well, I think that's the radio we had in the corner of the house, and I had a heavy coat on. I was going to do some shopping, and I had the radio on.
Uh-huh.
Then I just heard that he had been shot, and I sat on the Davenport with my heavy coat on. I wouldn't leave until I heard the outcome, and it was about a half an hour of just listening, maybe longer. Time meant nothing. Then when the announcement came, I surely remember, I went into tears. I was afraid. Barb was in,
What were you afraid of?
what would happen?
Mm-hmm.
The security of a president being shot.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all went through fear. What's going to happen? Our master's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Barb was in Madison at school, and she called home in tears, and she said, I want to come home. What's going to happen to Bill? Everybody went through a fear. She was afraid that Bill would be hauled off to war, and Arden was a great person to try to make us all strong.
Now, was this before the Cuban Missile Crisis, or was this?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, this was at the time of when Kennedy was shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, anyhow, Arden said, no, you better stay, Barbara. Stay in school. He wanted to make her strong, not to be weak and run. And she said, I'm coming home. And it was a very rainy, miserable evening. I called to see when the bus would come in, and I went down, and here was her roommate's mother waiting for the bus too. And Barb came home, they were all in tears, not knowing it was a fear.
Well, that's amazing. It's amazing how times have changed. Because, I mean, it's just people, I think people cared more about the president and the well-being of the president
Oh,
back
I
then.
agree.
I mean, nowadays, I mean, God forbid that should happen, but I don't see people just sitting around, losing it.
Well,
Because I remember my parents cried. They were in college, and I remember they cried.
Well, there were tears all over. I was so happy that Barb was home. And of course, Bonnie and Bill were here too. But Arden regretted the feeling. You have to be tough, stick it out, because absolutely everything closed down, just everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there were lots of memorial services. Our pastor at the time was Reverend T. Perry Jones. He was in charge of several churches united. He was in charge of the one service, and I can remember so well. Was it Bonnie or? I think it was Bonnie that said she had a group of friends who were going to go, and there were a couple of Catholic girls with her group, and she said, we're going to, I don't know if it was St. Dominic's Church first, and then we're going over to the church, Presbyterian Church,
Right.
where our service would be. And said, well, sure. But way down deep in my heart, I really didn't think they would make it over to our service, the Protestant service.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked into church. It was Zion Reformed Church. Walked in, and of course, being a mother, I was looking right away. I kept thinking in the back of the church, expecting to see this group, Bonnie and her friends. They weren't there, and I thought, no, they won't show up. And I kept watching every teenager as they came in. No Bonnie. You know what happened? That group of friends were way down in front. I didn't look there. I always kept looking in back and for them coming in. They were there before we were, and they had already attended a little Catholic service. And her friends, they were all together, those that were Catholic, and they had gone as a group to the Catholic memorial service.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all together, way down in front.
What do you remember about, and I mean, what were your thoughts, and what were you thinking, and what were your fears about the Cuban Missile Crisis? Do you remember much about that, or?
The Cuban?
Uh-huh.
Not too much. I remember it, but it didn't mean that much. I wasn't that worried.
Mm-hmm.
I was sorry that it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I really was. But in the long run, I think it was just as well.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that we're working together, that history will show that Cuba's will join in. We have to do away with all these laws.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about government.
Sure.
I have these deep feelings, that I
Mhm.
still think that we should all love each other and that the world would be a better place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really feel it was, quite a while ago. Bill and I were talking on the telephone, and I said, we all have to contribute to loving each other. our responsibility individually. And I said, being cheerful and happy to somebody else will help bring our world together,
Mhm.
you know. And Bill said, you know, Mom, I think you're right. It was just the other day when he happened to be walking on the street, or I don't know where he was, but he said there was an older lady and she was walking with hanging her head. And I said to her, good morning, how are you? And he said she straightened up and smiled. We are responsible.
Yeah.
I used to feel that way, and that's why every now and then I get to feeling, I don't know if I feel sorry for myself. Yeah, I guess I do. It's that I'm not contributing
Mhm.
what I always did. But age takes its toll.
Yeah, don't be hard on yourself, Elvira, about that, because you give a lot and you contribute, and you know there's always going to be some kind of need.
Well, it was like our attorney, Bud Humke, said, when I said, he said, are you contributing to the church? And I said, no, I hadn't pledged. And I said, Arden and I gave so much of ourselves to the church. And he said, you surely did, and that made me feel good. And then I mentioned how when the young man next door was killed,
Mhm.
and all I could think of was, you know, when those things happen, how many people have ready cash? And I looked in my purse, and there was a $50 bill, and I saw her mother coming. They were going back and forth, and I opened the door and I said, give this to your daughter. And I felt good about it.
Mhm.
In fact, better than if I had given.
There's Daddy and Hannah in Wisconsin. Is it cold out, Hannah? This is where Mommy grew up.
See, it's not that bad, Mommy.
Yeah.
Hannah. Kitty.
This
Over here.
is where Mommy played. I played in this backyard
Yeah.
all the time. It's my grandparents' house. I stay up there. Here we are. Yeah!
Yay!
Yay! We're in Wisconsin.
All right, here we go.
Here we are in Wisconsin at the Weather Center. Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Yay!
Ah.
I don't care.
I think we keep going. Here it is, the Weather Center.
You already smell the coffee.
We'll definitely have to take some pictures. Hannah's like, Gads, get me inside. Hi, Sugar Bear. Hi, Sugar. Oh, honey, look.
Look at the seagulls.
Wow, look at the ice out there.
Hey, sweetie girl.
We're at Mommy and Daddy's favorite place, the Weather Center. We're just looking around at everything. There's so many things to look at. Fish net, people talking.
Here's Lake Michigan, where I grew up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Oh. Yeah.
Wow, even the waves like out there.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just looks like an ocean.
It does. Oh, handy I am on this camera. Sweetie girl. One day you can run along that beach. We're still visiting great grandma. Grandma still lives here in Sheboygan. Play. Lake Michigan.
That definitely.
Here we have Elvira Wandry. She's
Oh, yeah.
peeling potatoes. It's Thanksgiving 2002.
And it's been a blessed Thanksgiving.
It's been a good one. Jennifer and I just went on a walk around the neighborhood.
I have to come in and tell what I think of it.
You have to what?
I want to tell you and
Oh, here
Jenny.
you.
No, it isn't that bad. You know what? I feel so sorry for Vicki and Dale. You know, they depend upon Mother Nature. And they have they have about 7 or 8 mobile homes for their Mexicans. And really, they're nice. Then they have a big mobile home for their washing. And Vicki just works so hard to get everything cleaned.
Right.
Well, then there are Mexican inspectors. And one came around after about middle of the season, and Vicki just about died. They said it was filthy dirty, and they had to do something, I don't know. Well, Vicki refused. I think she wrote into the company. You see what these Mexicans were doing? They would use the toilets and then throw the dirty paper out on the floor.
Oh, that's horrible.
Just filthy dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the inspector came around, they had passed all inspection at the beginning of the season. Then I still don't know the real outlet or outcome of it, but then the inspected about the half of the season, and were taken to task because of how filthy it was. How could they help it?
And where was this again?
Watoma.
Vicki
Watoma.
and Dale's farm.
Yeah.
That used to be my grandfather's father's farm.
Yeah,
And then his brother Elmer
took over.
took over. That's the house with
Yeah,
the creek in the back.
yeah.
And then Elmer's son Dale
Okay.
now runs the farm with Vicki. And they have Mexicans that come in and help bring in the harvest and help
Oh,
work
really?
the land.
They
Yeah.
brought, and Vicki and Dale had about, I think it was close to 7 mobile homes that they bought. They weren't brand new. And Vicky, I know she is so persnickety. She had every single one of those homes just spick and span when the Mexicans came.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe it was when the season was half over. I don't even quite know when it was.
They just trashed it, huh?
The inspector came and really laid them low because they were so filthy dirty.
Now, who was the inspector?
Well, I think he is a Mexican.
He
The-
comes to see how the Mexicans are being treated, the workers, how they're being treated, their living conditions, and
Oh,
things like
there's
that.
so much to it. I feel so sorry for Dale.
but
Uh-huh.
Dale and Vicky really treat them well. It's just
They just trashed the place.
right.
And then when the inspector came, Vicky was just, she told them off, and so did
Yeah.
Dale, because part of it was where when they used the toilets, they would use toilet tissue and just throw it.
That's horrible.
And, you know, years ago, when Elmer and Esther first started, he was the oldest, and he would be farmed out to relatives and other people.
That means he was hired out as a kid,
Yeah.
like to go work other farms. His parents would make him work other farms too.
Arden did. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and for other people. And I can see where he hated horses. I don't know, I can't describe the drag, you know, that the horses pull to
Uh-huh.
keep the
Before
imagine a
tractors,
kid
plow.
sitting there
Yeah.
in back of horses umpteen hours. Well, then when he was paid, they gave the pay to Arden's father, and then he would give Arden a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But through all of that, this horrible dislike of horses came up in Arden, and I could understand that.
Mhm.
He really didn't like horses.
So
Yeah.
he went on to college and let Elmer take over the farm.
Right, because Elmer really, he didn't like school, and I don't think he did nearly as well as Arden did. Arden graduated from Watoma High School as salutatorian, and Vicky and Dale's daughter, Rhea, worked her little head off. She wanted to get the very same average in graduating from high school
Uh-huh.
that her uncle did.
Yeah.
And she almost made it.
Just like Grandma.
Almost. Just about a fraction of a percentage lower than Arden had it. But it's been such a cozy, wonderful situation. And I have a real deep feeling about the farmer.
Yes.
Dale would just as soon sell, but he'd almost have to give it away. He and Vicky have a beautiful home. Were you ever in it?
Mm-hmm.
Just a beautiful home. And the river runs around on the side and around their house. And but he said if he would put the land that his farm that's across the road up for sale, he'd lose his shirt
Mhm.
because real estate is so low. I can understand why farmers are leaving their homes, leaving the farms, because unless you have a huge corporation, you can't do it. And I hate to see that happen.
I know.
Well, now I spoke my piece, but I wanted you to know what they went through.
Right.
And then Dale and Marlon Marks have planted potatoes together. Okay, when they had a contract with
Yeah.
a potato.
Mm-hmm. Sugar. Hi, Sugar Bear.
You just woke up from the middle of that.
Hey, rosy cheeks. Oh. Snuggle Bunny. Oh.
Your home is so quality organic holders. Hi, I'm Sally. Harry and I are holiday shopping
Can you
at
get the
Milligan's.
sound?
Yeah.
Milligan's has the
Darling.
trees you've ever seen. And the most ornaments. Milligan's has everything for your villagers. And Santas and snowmen galore. The home accessories at Milligan's are fabulous for holiday and every day. No one has clothes like Milligan's. I love it all. Everything you want for Christmas is at Milligan's. You're gonna love
Is
it.
it funny when Daddy does it? That is funny.
Here you go. Give it back. Here you go. Oh,
She said, I've had
I
enough.
can't believe it. Hey,
That's enough.
hey.
She said, I don't think it's funny anymore. Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. Hannah, now give it back. Give it back. Here we go. Oh, glory to God.
Oh.
No.
Want this? Put that on last or what?
Next time I see her, she'll be jumping on her own.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I really have seen her at the cute changes.
Are you recording us? Oh, we're leaving Great Grandma's house. Hey, Daddy, what you doing?
That's a, Bonnie, you got that, didn't you? That's a cute.
That is really neat.
It's big enough that I like it where she doesn't feel claustrophobic. You know,
Right.
it's big.
Hannah, it's okay, Sugar Bear.
She is strong.
She is so strong, child.
Daddy.
Oh.
Hi, Sugar Bear.
Ba-doo.
Yay.
To go to Wisconsin. Yeah, in Wisconsin, Mom.
Come on, Mommy.
Oh, I was gonna say, you have a jacket here too.
I forgot about that.
Don't forget to take your book, or are you leaving that here for it?
Bonnie, are you gonna take that blood type book with you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You taking that with us?
Well, sweetheart, all bundled up.
Say
All
goodbye.
bundled up. Goodbye.
We're a
sweetheart.
hug.
Oh,
We're taking a chair for Bonnie, you remember?
oh, she would come.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love you too, sweetheart. You be a good girl. I hope that her eyes cool.
Yeah. If they don't, I'll take her to the doctor,
Yeah.
but we're praying for us.
Well, I think that
Oh, her little
it
hat.
could have been a little cold.
Yeah.
I'll s-
You
I'll
have a
stuff- I'll
different jacket.
get it somehow.
Yeah, I need to put my jacket on. I'll give her to John.
Aw.
Hi, Great Grandma. Oh, she's
Bless
reaching
you.
for you.
I just feel so blessed
Okay.
that I could see her. Yeah. Will you just was a beautiful day.
It was.
And I was so happy that Bill could come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
I'm glad you
enjoyed
got to see Joe and Carrie
Oh, I
too.
know.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
that we got some pictures. Yes, we got some pictures. Oh, she is just precious.
Bye, great grandma. She's tired.
Yeah.
Oh, we love you. I love you,
Love
grandma.
you too, Caroline. Thank you for staying.
Oh yes, of course. And I'll be back.
Good.
So I'll be back.
I hope
Good,
our
good.
maize are.
There's Lake
Man, will you look
Michigan.
at those waves, honey?
I know.
Here, get that lighthouse up here.
Where is it? Oh, yeah, there it is.
Can you zoom or?
Uh huh. Oops. I didn't. My zooming isn't very good.
Honey, you have a good.
The mirror is in the
How
way.
about right there?
So wait, the mirror. Look there. Yeah. And Hannah's hitting my hand. Okay. There's the lighthouse. There. Cool. I used to hear that when I'd spend the night at my grandparents'. It would scare me at night.
Uh huh.
Hannah, we are in Wisconsin. What do you think about that, this little fluff ball?
I just passed him.
What do you think about that, Miss Little Fluff Ball?
Wow. I wonder if these are snow clouds. Oh, honey, look at this.
I know.
Oh, I'd do anything for a picture of you and Hannah.
Well, we can come back and take a picture. After the weather center. No. We're not like in a hurry to go anywhere.
What if we took one now?
Yeah, just pull over and stop. They'll stop. We're gonna take a picture.
Are we coming up on Yonkers?
Yep, this is 8th Avenue, Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Honey, there's a family restaurant. I think there's like 2 of them.
Is there? My mom and Larry are driving in front of us. Downtown Sheboygan, getting ready for Christmas. We just left the weather center. We have our drinks in our hand. Hannah is squirming.
Oh, there's a coffee place right
Oh, where?
next to us.
Oh yeah, this is a really cool coffee place. I think it's called New York 8th.
New York on 8.
Honey, wait till you see my video techniques. You're gonna be really impressed.
Okay, we're coming up on Yonkers. There's the public library that Jennifer went to.
Where?
To the left.
Yep, there's the library.
You go there as a little kid. Oh, honey, look. We looked there yesterday.
Oh, here's the Yonkers.
And then there's the restaurant.
This is the restaurant in
Everyone stared at
Yonkers.
me.
Yonkers. Boy, my technique is not very good, honey.
Try to be as smooth as possible.
It's too late for that. There's Yonkers. Right in there on the left, where I used to work. All the way on the left there. This is where John would go to breakfast
I
with my
take him to
grandpa
eat right there.
for breakfast with the men. And John bought the breakfast, and my grandpa didn't like that. Oh, the windows are kind of dirty, but you get the drift. There we go. That's where he went to breakfast. Hannah, aren't you gonna crawl? Look at all your toys over here. Go crawl to your toys. Are you just resting? Are you just resting, Hannah? kind of taking it easy. I was going to try to videotape her crawling, but she's just relaxing. Here we go. So cute. She crawls. Your toys are over here. She's going in the wrong direction. Of course she's going to go in the same direction. Look at her little legs. Hi, Hannah. Our drawers are no longer safe. Look at your toys over here, Hannah. Mommy should. Hi, cutie. Sugar bear. Hannah! Your toys are over here. See? take breaks in between crawling. Finally, your own toys. Yeah. Hey, sweetie. Is that a good boy? Super baby! Do-do-do-do-do. Super baby! Whee! Do-do-do. Super baby! Doesn't like it when I leave the room. Sweetie girl. If I leave the room, she doesn't really like it. Hannah. Where'd she go? Here, play with this. Play with this. Suck on that. Hi, cutie. Hannah, are you coming after mommy? Are you coming after mommy? Hi, Hannah. Are you coming after mommy? Her little feetsies and his little booty. You are. Hi. You came right after mommy, didn't you? So what you doing? So what you doing? You're climbing right up on mommy. Trying to get the lens cap from the camera. If I didn't know how to do photo, I'd do photos. Hannah. No more. You are after mommy.
Merry Christmas, Grandma and Mom and Larry and Barb. We just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas from Texas. And can you clap for everybody, Hannah? Yay! Say, I miss you, Wisconsin. We wanted to show you our tree. This is our tree that we decorated. John put it up right before we came for Thanksgiving and got it decorated about a week ago. And I even, I'm going to eat our shoe. Grandma, there's some of the decorations that you gave us. The one with the little sled, the little, you made it It's like a little sled that you made out of popsicle sticks. We have that ornament, and we have several other ornaments that you gave us, and well, we just wanted to give you this tape, and some of it's some old things that we videotaped before we came to Wisconsin for Thanksgiving, and come on, honey. And some of it's some new stuff. And Hannah's crawling now.
She
and
is.
She possibly said "mama" the other day,
Mhm.
and we put her in the nursery at church, and she was crying, and the lady said she was saying "mama, mama."
Yeah, that's right.
So-
That's right.
I don't know if that's her first
But,
one.
we wanted to make this tape for you, and actually we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and we think of you often, Elvira, and we love you, and we just wish you just the best Christmas, and we know you're in good hands with Barbara and Bonnie and Larry and everybody, so
Yeah.
we just bless you, we love
Yes,
you,
we love you.
and Barb, go Mavericks. Anyway, but we love you, and I'm
Yes.
gonna go around and turn the tape off, and
And hopefully you'll enjoy this tape that we made.
yeah, definitely.
And hopefully you'll
So,
get it before Christmas. So have a wonderful Christmas. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon. And we're always praying for you. And Hannah says, "Yay!
Yay!
I'm eating my shoe."
Yeah.
Yay.
So,
Anyhow, we love you. Merry Christmas. Have a
Merry
wonderful-
Christmas.
It's going to be a wonderful new year.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Hannah. Hannah, can you say hi to everybody?
Hey, Merry Christmas. Hi.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Yay. Yay. So we're enjoying the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
You want to look at
Oh.
Yay! Yay! Look at the Christmas tree. Look at all
You can
this.
look, Hannah, but don't touch.
Oh, there's so many pretty things I want to grab. I'd like to grab that. And I'd like to grab. Ooh, all kinds of stuff.
It's a pretty tree, Hannah.
So this ornament over here, Hannah, this is from your great grandma. It's a little dolly. It's a little dolly. And this one right here, Hannah, this is a little bear on a sled. And I think your great grandma made that.
Let's see if I can get it on video here.
See it?
See if I can get it here.
It's a little bear on a red sled. And we have the farm right here.
Yeah, there it is.
See? Great grandma made that. Yeah. She wants to suck it.
Yeah, she does.
Give it a taste. See if it tastes like Wisconsin. What do you think?
Hannah, can you say thank you, Great Grandma?
Thank you.
Sugar?
Say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.